Good morning. Today we'll start with fluid kinematics, vorticity and rotationality. We have already defined the rate of rotation vector of fluid element. Rate of rotation vector in Cartesian coordinates, omega is equal to defined as this. A closely related kinematic property is of great importance to analysis of fluid flows, namely the vorticity vector is defined mathematically as curl of velocity vector. So it is your vorticity, its Greek letter zeta is equal to del cross V, which is curl of V vector. So suppose you have vector A, you have vector V. The direction of vector cross product is determined by right hand rule. So C vector is A cross V, its direction is in this direction. In this book, omega is used to denote the rate of rotation vector of fluid element. It turns out the rate of rotation vector is equal to half of the vorticity vector. So if you take half of this value, you will get rate of rotation vector. So what is equal to the twice the angular velocity of fluid particle. This is vorticity. This is rate of rotation vector, and you can see the magnitude of both. It is half of this vorticity vector. If the vorticity at a point in flow field is non-zero, the fluid particle that happens to occupy that point in space is rotating. The flow in that region is called rotational. If the vorticity in region of a flow field is zero, fluid particles there are not rotating. The flow is called irrotational. You can see the particles here in the viscous boundary layer, they are rotational, and the particles outside this boundary layer here, they are not rotating. So the flow is irrotational. This is irrotational outer flow region. This is rotational boundary layer region. Rotation of fluid element is associated with wakes, boundary layers, flow through turbomachinery, and flow with heat transfer. The vorticity of fluid element cannot change except through the action of viscosity, non-uniform heating, or other non-uniform phenomena. Thus, if a flow originates in an rotational region, it remains irrotational until some non-uniform process alters it. So vorticity vector in Cartesian coordinate is given by this value. Now if the flow is two-dimensional, the z component, which is w, is 0, and neither u nor v varies with z. So this variation of u with z will diminish, and variation of v with z will diminish, and you will get, and w component, which is the velocity component, z direction is 0 here. So you will get this equation in two-dimensional flow in Cartesian coordinate. You can see in this xy plane, this is a two-dimensional flow in xy plane. The vorticity vector is always pointing in z direction. That is, when you take the product of x and y, you will get the z direction. And you can see this flag shaped element are rotating in counterclockwise direction. Determination of rotationality in two-dimensional flow. So v is equal to uv. So this is the equation given, velocity vector. Is this flow rotational or rotational? Sketch some streamlines in the first coordinate discussed. So here we are to determine whether flow with the given velocity is rotational or rotational. So we'll find zeta, which is del v by del x minus del u by del y, and k vector is for z direction. So this flow is in x, y and y direction. So the rotationality vector will point in z direction. So when you take derivative, v component is 0, v component is given, u component is 0. So this component is 0. V component, when you take the derivative of this value, you will get minus 2y k. Now this zeta value has some value, minus 2y k. It means flow is rotational. We plot streamlines of the flow in the first quadrant. You can see here. We see that fluid moves downward, fluid is moving in downward, and it moves to the right. the translation and deformation of fluid parcel is shown. At del t0, there is a fluid parcel is square, so it has not any translation and rotational motion. At time t is equal to 0.5 second, it has moved and deformed, and at del t 0.50 second, the parcel has moved farther and farther. It has moved to the right position, and you can say the rightmost portion of the parcel moves faster to the right and faster downward compared to this leftmost portion of the parcel. Stretching the parcel in x direction, you can see it is stretched along the x direction. The length has increased in this direction as compared to this. And squashing in vertical direction, you can see the original height of this parcel is this. It has squashed in the vertical direction. So it is clear that there is a net clockwise rotation of fluid parcel. So the rotation of the fluid parcel is clockwise. Vorticity vector in cylindrical coordinates is this. Two-dimensional flow in cylindrical coordinates is represented by this equation. For a two-dimensional flow in r theta plane, the vorticity vector always points in minus z direction and they will rotate in clockwise direction. These are fluid particles. Comparison of two circular flows. Not all flows with circular streamlines are rotational. To illustrate this point, we consider two incompressible, steady two-dimensional flows, both of which have circular streamlines in r theta plane. So this is your solid body rotation, flow A. This is your line vortex. So take flow A, solid body rotation. It is represented by zeta, which is 1 by r, omega square r derivative with respect to r minus 0 into k is equal to 2 omega k. So in case of solid body, it is 2 omega k. In case of line vortex, this case, it is 0. Not surprising, the vorticity of solid body rotation is non-zero. In fact, it is a constant of magnitude twice the angular velocity and pointing in the same direction. So it is directing in k with twice the angular velocity. So flow A is rotational. So in this case, your flow is rotational. The vortex of this line vortex is 0 everywhere except right at the origin, which is a mathematical singularity. So flow B is irrotational. The fluid particles do not rotate as they revolve in a circle about the origin. You can compare this solid body rotation here with this rotational circular flow to a roundabout. As children move around a roundabout, they also rotate at the same angular velocity as that of ride itself. And this line vortex flow is analogous to this Ferris wheel, in which the children or passenger will always pointing in upward right direction as they trace out their circular path. Means people, or you can say children, are moving in a circular path, but their direction is pointed always rightward, outward. So you can compare these two flows with the help of this example. Reynolds transport theorem. In thermodynamics and solid mechanics, we often work with a system, also called a closed system, defined as a quantity of matter of fixed identity. In fluid mechanics, it is more common to work with control volume, also called an open system, defined as a region in space chosen for study. The size and shape of a system may change during a process, but no mass cross the boundary. A control volume, on the other hand, allows mass to flow in and out across boundaries, which are called control surface. A control volume may also move and deform during a process, but many real world applications involve fixed non-deformable control volumes. Take example of 452, this figure. This is the can and this is sprayed mass of the fluid through the can. So both system and control volume for the case of deodorant being sprayed from a spray can. When analyzing the spraying process, a natural choice for our analysis is either the moving deforming fluid, or the volume bounded by inner surface of the can, a control volume. So this is your control volume here. So these choices are identical before the detergent is sprayed. When some contents of the can are discharged, the system approach considers the discharge mass as a part of the system and tracks it, which is a difficult job. So thus the mass of system remains constant. Conceptually, this is equivalent to attaching a flat balloon to the nozzle of the can and letting the spray inflate the balloon. Means if you attach a balloon here, the mass will go into the balloon. So the inner surface of the balloon now becomes part of the boundary. So this balloon becomes the part of this boundary. The control volume approach, however, is not concerned at all with the deodorant that has escaped the can, and thus the mass of control volume decreases during the process while its volume remains constant. So if you consider here, the can volume will remain constant even after some mass of the fluid has escaped. So therefore the system approach treats the spraying process as an expansion of system's volume, whereas the control volume approach considers it as a fluid discharge through the control surface of the fixed control volume.